Welcome to another edition of Raw Mind Sports. But before we start, we got a special guest coming on. Here we go. Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts. Let's get it going. Okay, Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts. This right here, people, is none other than Isaiah Deloatch. Playmaking Isaiah Deloatch. Mr. Rutgers commit Isaiah Deloatch. He plays at Hillside. He plays for the head coach of Coach Noel, who was the state championship coach of New Bern. Ladies and gentlemen, this guy right here is a playmaker all over the field. He can do multiple things. He can't just not play one position. He can cover. He can tackle. He can make all the plays in the world. With that being said, we're about to finish up right now. You just saw a few things from him. I'm getting rid of this piece right now. So you already know what time it is. Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts. As I always say, hit my music.
You're on time to talk sports with Raw Mind. Game day, who plays with updates of all kinds. From press box to sideline. Who got cut, who got signed. Who's clutch when it's crunch time. The starting lineup for the Pine. These athletes compete, some without even trying. You want a championship, you gotta grind. When them bright lights shine, and this game go 9, they gon' cover the story, not quite like Ryan. Exclusive interviews, dudes plug like Mike Line. He's got the inside scoop of why, who got fined. Prime time, got the game statistics. I could say, if you wasn't at the game, you missed it. But now Raw Mind Sports covers the distance. Front row, that's close like a coach's assistant. You wanna be in the know? Eyes open and listen. This is Raw Mind Sports, another edition.
To another edition of Raw Mind Sports. I'm your host, Ryan Jones. And by the way, I know we got to update the intro a little bit because a lot of things have happened since the intro. But with that being said, Raw Mind Sports is here, sponsored by Sims Collections. Use the promo code Raw Mind. Use the promo code Raw Mind. You get a 15% discount on all products, handmade products by Dr. Monica Ricks herself, homegrown doctor out of North Carolina Central. She has skin conditioner cream. She has bath oil. She has Butter Me Baby, Seductress, all type of authentic products. Beard balm for the beard. You know, I've been working on my beard a little bit, so even though it's time for a haircut, Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts, but haircut or no haircut, I had to get this episode going because we have a guy here that's roots are from Tarboro, although he's up in Durham at Hillside. And by the way, I got to bring him on right now, and his name is none other than Isaiah Deloatch. Isaiah, how you doing today, man?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So with this episode, man, you're here. I'm glad you're here. You own Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts. So Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts gets the things going, get it going right now. So I might go ahead and put your name on the screen because, by the way, I want to make sure people know who you are. So we can't have that going on. So all right, here we go. We're gonna start with the first question. Where did your love of football come from?
It came from, I don't know, like maybe like the backyard. Maybe it was just the fact that I like hitting people. Well, like I started playing football when I was 4 years old with the Durham Eagles. So I just like hitting people. That's why my flag football career is short-lived. I like hitting people too much.
So before I get into it, you know, I know your dad has roots in Tarboro and stuff. Does he ever talk to you about the Tarboro roots? You know, although you're in Durham, like I like to tell everybody, you know, a lot of people go on with their careers and life doesn't keep them in Tarboro for a while. Keep them in Tarboro forever. So like, does he ever tell you about the Tarboro roots and stuff like that? And like, have y'all had conversations about Tarboro?
Yes, sir. I go to Tarboro all the time. I used to spend almost half my summer down there every week at my grandma's house. And even before games, like I was saying, when I was younger, I played for the Durham Eagles. We would play on Saturday mornings. So we would be in Tarboro watching Todd Gurley play, Chris Lane play on Friday nights, and then we'd come back to Durham and play 919 teams for the Durham Eagles. So, yeah, I've been to Tarboro. Man, I've been spending a lot of time in Tarboro because my grandma still stays down there, so I still go down there time to time.
So you hear all these championships in Tarboro. Like, how do you feel about it? I know they lost 2 already. I mean, recently the Mount Airy, whatever. Like this, when you think about Tarboro, do you think about championships all the time, or like what is it like? Or like, because I know you're in a different division. I mean, conference. You know, I want to say y'all 4A or 3A. I can't remember.
Yeah, we're 4A.
4A, and you know, Tarboro's 1A now, but maybe move up to 2A. So you know, I know Tarboro is probably gonna be near and dear to your heart. So that being said, like I want to just talk about like watching that video and like looking at all the plays and everything that you're doing, like all over the field. You just want in one spot, you want in one position. It seems like your coaches like find ways to put you in multiple spots to be successful and to be able to make plays. Like I look at you right now from that video like you're a playmaker. I don't look at you as just like one-dimensional player. Like they can move you wherever. So for me, what's on your mind in the film room? Like when you're trying to analyze opponents and trying to figure out what opponent does what, and like what is your game mindset in that?
Like when I go into film, the first thing I do is like you just go over like their most successful plays, like the plays that work. Of course, like offensive coordinator is gonna do what works for them and works for their team. So like for some teams, it might be a screen game. Some teams it might be the run game. Some teams might be trying to take the top off. So you just got to figure out like what's most successful for each team and what they like to do the most, and then it just comes down to how consistent they are in like performing in those formations and performing those plays, and who their like best target is. Like if they want to go to this formation, they're gonna throw it to this receiver. If they're in this formation, they're gonna run it with that running back. So it just depends on like what the team running and how successful they are running it.
Man. So like before I get into everything else, because I know we was discussing everything about, you know, your football, your game, your mindset, stuff like that. And I just want to get raw thoughts to the questions again. How have your parents impacted your helped you in the fact that being a student athlete?
They like guided me like basically through the whole process. I have an older sister. She was a way better student than I was, so they just tried to keep me on like the similar track that she was on. So she had over a 4.0 GPA. So I'm not good at student as that, but I have a 3.5. So I'm not a bad student, but like they try to keep me on the same track as my sister. She did really well in school. That's why I ended up at early college. So I have a whole bunch of credits going over into college when I get there in January. So they stay on top of me. So my dad, he would tell me about how he was the best athlete in Tarboro. He said,
he made sure he said that, didn't he?
And he said like his grades weren't as good as his athleticism. So
but
he always be like, don't make the same mistakes I did. He said he couldn't win anywhere, but it's just the grades. So I made sure I stayed on top of my stuff through high school.
Man. So how have you, I mean, outside of what you were just saying with your dad, it sounds like you answered the question already, but like, how have you handled being a student athlete like yourself? Like outside of your parents saying what they're saying, like,
Yes.
like your expectation for yourself.
My expectation for myself was, I would say it's lower than what my parents expected of me. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a lackadaisical student, but if I have a chance to like get an 85, without trying to, if I don't have to study for 5 hours to get an 85, then I'm not gonna study for 5 hours. But I will study for 3 hours. I'm not like lazy, but I also don't like. I don't want to. What's the word I'm looking for? Like, my expectation for myself was lower than it was for my parents. So I know I'm a good student. So I know A's and B's will take you a long way. So I wouldn't like, I'm not gonna, I would say I'm not gonna down myself if I get a B. Like, I wouldn't be mad with the B, but I would love to have an A. That makes sense.
So for me, you have some changes in the coaching staff.
Yeah.
You have a new coach that has won a state championship, as I said earlier in the show. You know, Coach Noel Newburn. Like, what kind of energy has he brought that maybe is a little different from the previous coach?
It's kind of different. It's a lot different. I feel like the play style changed more than the injury did. I mean, Hillside, we had like a pretty good tradition, like a winning tradition. So like we kept the same energy with the coaches. It just the playbook changed more than the energy did. He brings a lot of good energy. He makes sure like he develops us as young men too. So like every season we read a book as a team. So before we start our practices, like twice a week, we'll read a page out of a book that like last year it was The Coffee Bean. So
the whole team read the same book.
Yes, sir. As together, like we would go to the classroom and we would all read together. And there's a book called The Coffee Bean, and it was just about how you can be the person that affects your environment, not the person that's affected by your environment. So he just like teaches us like things about life and things about that connect to football rather than things that in football that connect to life.
So, with being a student athlete, you had the opportunity now to get a full ride scholarship to Rutgers. What led you to choose Rutgers out of other schools as a rising senior already committed to Rutgers, and
Yes,
you
sir.
might have more offers coming?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to manifest that you're going to have more offers coming. I'll say that.
Yes, sir. It was really like the coaching staff and like the love that they show and the consistency that they show. So actually, I can show you since I'm on camera. Actually, I probably have like
Oh, we get raw thoughts here. We get raw thoughts. He going back here to show us. Hold, say it again.
I have like probably about close to like 300 handwritten letters from Rutgers, all from nutritionists all the way up to the head coach to the every position coach, left or right. So it doesn't matter. I got letters from the O-line coach. I'm a linebacker. I got letters from the receivers coach. I got letters from the running back coach, the DC head coach, assistant head coach. So I probably have like over like 300 handwritten letters here just from Rutgers. So like
that is the easiest way to get recruited, folks. Having 300 letters coming to you from position coaches that's not even coaching his position. Raw mind, raw thoughts. All right, so
those are just the ones to me. So they'll write handwritten letters just to me, and then they'll write handwritten letters to my parents. Like they'll write on the letter, they'll be like family of Isaiah Deloatch, and then it will say just Isaiah Deloatch. So my parents probably have close to 100 to 200 letters just to them.
So. That's I tell you what, Greg Schiano has a way of recruiting. I see,
yes,
a great way of recruiting in a consistent way on that level. Yes, so, like, what do you do to get your mind off of football? Like, you're a student athlete for one. You got to keep your grades up. You got to have a great GPA to go to Rutgers to play.
Sir.
Then you have football. Not only do you have to focus like mentally on your grades, but you also have to work the work ethic, the weight room, the film room, practice, game day, stuff like that. Like, what do you do to get your mind off it when it's time to relax?
More than likely, I'll probably just be playing the game with my teammates, playing with my brothers on the field, or I'll be fishing. I love to fish. I've been fishing since as long as I can remember, probably like since I was old enough to hold a rod by myself. So I go fishing probably 3-4 times a week in the afternoon, probably about like 6 or 7 p.m. Because right now, North Carolina, it's way too hot. Like it's way too hot. So yeah, I'll just be fishing with my teammates. I take my teammates fishing. I probably have like I've taught probably about 7 or 8 of my friends how to fish, and like we went fishing every day for a week straight this summer. So like yeah, fishing's fun, playing the game's fun, but that's all I really do.
All right, so before I get to the next subject, you know, Hillside is coming back this year. What are your thoughts on Hillside and your conference, and what do you see your team doing overall?
Right now, I can say like there's only one team that we should have a problem with this year, up until like playoff time. So it's like a lot of talk about like people like transferring out of our school, people leaving for unnecessary reasons, but we're still gonna be Hillside and we're still gonna be good. So it really doesn't matter. Like one of my teammates said, we're just getting back to ourselves.
Getting back to yourselves. Getting back to yourselves. All right, so what is it that you want people to know about you before we end this episode?
That I would say I live by a quote that one of my friends' dad told me when I was in 7th grade, right when COVID started. And then it was one of those days that we had gotten the game. I went over his house. We had gotten the game before we did our homework. And he just walked in the room. He asked if we did our homework yet. We told him no. And he just took the Xbox out of the room. And then he told us, you got to do what you need to do so you can do what you want to do. So, like, I put that, like, towards anything. So before you try to do the things that you want to do, you need to do things that you need to do. And the things that you need to do will take you where you want to be. So if you want to be D1, you need to do the stuff you need to do. So you got to do what you need to do what you want to do.
So with that being said, on Raw Mind Sports here, myself, man, my Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts, man, Isaiah Deloatch, man, is going to be spectacular this season. He's got Rutgers. He has people sending over 300 letters and more, not just to him, but also more letters to his parents. And I feel like he's going to be super successful this season. Hillside, coaching Noel, he's there. They're in a pretty good conference, but at the same time, it's like they're getting back to themselves. And I wish you nothing but the best, Isaiah, man. Any last thoughts before I get off?
Nah, I'm good. Thank you for having me.
And with that being said, folks, Isaiah Deloatch, Rutgers commit out of Hillside, Bull City. Here we go. Raw Mind, Raw Thoughts is